Squid Game Season 3 looks huge, and the final trailer has just made it even crazier. So today I'll be fully breaking down the trailer. We open with what looks like Gi-hun lying on his back, beaten and bloodied, while someone off screen asks,
이렇게 된 게 다 자기 탓이라고 생각하시는 거예요.
This is clearly setting up the psychological torture that Gi-hun's going through. He's got a cut on his hairline, his eyes are barely open, and he looks absolutely destroyed. The question being asked isn't just about physical damage. It's about all the deaths he's witnessed, all the people he couldn't save. The blue lighting makes everything feel cold and clinical, like he's being interrogated. This opening line connects directly to Gi-hun's character arc from Season 2, where we saw him struggling with survivor's guilt. In Season 2, Gi-hun was haunted by the deaths from the first games. He went back specifically to try to stop the games, which means he's been carrying this guilt for years. The way the question is phrased, everything that has happened, which suggests this isn't just about recent events. What's really interesting is that this question could be coming from the frontman, or even from Gi-hun's own mind. The fact that they're starting Season 3 with this internal conflict shows that even though Gi-hun won the games, he never really escaped them mentally. He's been trapped by his guilt this whole time. We see the older woman wearing number 149 having what looks like a tense conversation with a younger man in the dorm after lights out. The woman looks determined but sad at the same time. This has that feeling of someone making a difficult decision or maybe trying to convince someone else to do something they don't want to do. The fact that it's happening in the dark suggests they're trying to keep this conversation a secret from the guards or other players. Player 149 might be setting up one of those heartbreaking sacrifice moments that Squid Game is famous for. In the research notes, it mentions this could be an alliance request or a heartbreaking sacrifice. And given that she's an older woman and this is Squid Game, the odds aren't great for her survival. The show has a pattern of using older characters to represent wisdom and maternal figures who often sacrifice themselves. What's really getting to me is her expression. It's like she's already made peace with whatever decision she's about to make. In Korean culture, there's this concept of sacrificing for the younger generation, and I have a feeling that's exactly what we're seeing here. She might be planning to help the younger players survive even if it costs her everything. A lone silhouette stands in a rain-soaked alley, and the whole scene feels like someone's either trying to escape or being hunted. The rain adds this layer of misery to everything. This person looks exhausted and desperate, like they've been running for a while. The dark alley setting makes it feel dangerous, like something bad is about to happen. This could be showing us that the games have expanded beyond the island, which would be a massive escalation. We know from Season 2 that Gi-hun was trying to expose the games and stop them. If the games are now happening in urban areas, or if players are being hunted in the real world, that would explain why someone's hiding in an alley in the rain. This would be huge because it means the organization behind the games isn't just content with their isolated island anymore. They might be bringing the violence into everyday spaces, which would make everyone a potential target. The rain washing everything away could be symbolic too. Like the line between the games and real life is getting blurred. We get a flashback of a man in a ball cap sharing street food with a young girl, and he says,
아무리 생각해도
this is one of those moments designed to make us care about a character right before something terrible happens to them. The warmth of this scene is such a contrast to everything else we've seen. You can feel the love between these two people. This flashback is probably showing us why this character entered the games in the first place. Squid Game always shows us these tender family moments to explain character motivations. The fact that it's a father figure with a young girl suggests he's probably drowning in debt and entered the games to provide for her. What makes this even more heartbreaking is that we know how these stories usually end. The show is setting us up to care about this guy and his relationship with this little girl, which means when he inevitably dies in the games, it's gonna hit that much harder. It's emotional manipulation, but it works every single time. Dozens of contestants are being herded through these crazy Escher-like pastel stairs while red guards watch from below. The architecture here is absolutely wild. These stairs seem to go in impossible directions, which creates this sense of being trapped in a maze. The contestants look like cattle being led to slaughter, and the guards positioned below have all the power. The Escher-style architecture might represent how the players are trapped in an impossible system. MC Escher's art is famous for showing impossible constructions, stairs that go nowhere, loops that never end. Using this style for the game environment sends a clear message that the players are stuck in something they can't escape. This is brilliant visual storytelling. The players think they're moving forward, making progress, but the impossible geometry suggests they're actually going nowhere. It's like the games themselves. You think you're working toward freedom, but you're really just trapped in a system designed to destroy you. A hooded overseer walks into a high-tech control room where staff members are monitoring everything on screens. This gives us a peek behind the curtain at how organized and technological the whole operation is. It's not just a game, it's a sophisticated surveillance system. The overseer's entrance suggests something important is about to happen. The control room setup suggests the games have become even more complex and monitored than before. The multiple screens and staff members indicate this isn't just about running simple children's games anymore. They're tracking everything, probably analyzing player behavior and manipulating outcomes in real time. This evolution of the games makes sense if they are being broadcast to VIPs or if the stakes have gotten higher. The more technology they have, the more control they can exert over every single moment. It also means the players have even less chance of surprising their captors or finding a way out. The front man appears in his geometric mask, standing in darkness, and his presence immediately makes everything feel more dangerous. Even without saying anything, this guy radiates authority and menace. The geometric mask makes him look inhuman, and the darkness around him creates the sense that he controls everything from the shadows. The frontman's appearance here might be setting up a direct confrontation with Gi-hun. We know from Season 2 that Gi-hun came back specifically to stop the games. The frontman represents the ultimate authority in this system, so any real change would have to go through him. What's terrifying about the frontman is that he's not just following orders. He's a true believer in what they're doing. His calm demeanor while orchestrating mass murder makes him way scarier than someone who's just violent. He thinks he's doing something necessary, which makes him impossible to reason with. Complete chaos during the red light, green light, with players falling and scrambling while someone says,
세상이 참 불공평해요.
This is the iconic game from Season 1, but it looks way more brutal this time. You can see people falling, pushing each other, total panic. The line about life being unfair feels like someone's final realization before they die. Bringing back red light, green light, but making it more chaotic, shows how the games have evolved to be even deadlier. In Season 1, red light, green light was terrifying but relatively orderly. Here, it looks like complete mayhem, with people fighting each other just to survive. This escalation makes perfect sense for a third season. The audience already knows how red light, green light works, and so they had to make it worse to maintain the shock value. By turning it into a stampede situation, they've taken a game about individual control and made it about crowd dynamics, which is way harder to survive. Contestant 456, that's Gi-hun, is caught mid-stride with dozens of other players frozen behind him, all waiting for the doll to finish scanning. This is that heart-stopping moment where everyone's life depends on staying perfectly still. Gi-hun looks determined, but you can see the terror in the posture of everyone behind him. One tiny movement, and they're all dead. Having Gi-hun in the lead position during this game puts him in maximum danger and maximum responsibility. As the returning winner, Gi-hun would naturally be seen as a leader by other contestants. But being in front during red light, green light means he's the most exposed to the doll's sensors. This positioning is brilliant because it forces Gi-hun into an impossible situation. He wants to save people, but being the leader makes him the most likely to get everyone killed if he makes a mistake. It's the perfect way to torture someone who already feels responsible for too many deaths. A young man is absolutely drenched in sweat, staring at something horrific happening off-screen while a red guard looms behind him. The guy looks like he's about to have a complete breakdown. His face shows pure shock and terror, like he's witnessing something that's breaking his mind. The guard's presence means there's no escape from whatever he's seeing. This reaction shot suggests we're about to see the most brutal game yet in Season 3. Throughout the series, the most effective horror moments come from showing us characters' reactions, rather than the violence itself. When someone looks this destroyed by what they're seeing, it's going to be worse than anything we've seen before. The fact that they're using this reaction shot in the trailer means they want us to know that Season 3 is going to push boundaries even further. They can't show us the actual horror in a trailer, but they can show us how it affects people. And this guy looks like he's seeing the end of the world. Alright guys, that's the first 10 scenes, and we're already seeing some absolutely insane stuff. The psychological torture, the escalated violence, the return of classic games with deadly twists. Season 3 is shaping up to be the darkest one yet. A young woman in a teal tracksuit turns to look over her shoulder at someone off camera, and her expression is pure suspicion. She's in what looks like a completely white, sterile chamber, probably a holding area between games. The way she's looking back suggests someone's approaching her, but she's not sure if they're friend or enemy. Her body language screams caution. This suspicious look might be hinting at how paranoia and distrust have become survival mechanisms in Season 3. In previous seasons, we've seen how the games pit people against each other, but this level of wariness suggests things have gotten even more cutthroat. The sterile, white environment makes it feel like a psychological experiment. What's really interesting is that she's not showing fear. She's showing calculation. This suggests that by Season 3, the remaining players have learned that everyone is a potential threat. The games have trained them to view every interaction as potentially deadly, which is exactly what the organizers want. When people can't trust each other, they can't organize to fight back. A guy wearing number 218 is absolutely beaten up, blood on his face, white hospital-style jumpsuit, and he's pleading "don't do it" to someone above him. This dude has clearly been through hell. The hospital jumpsuit suggests he might have been in medical care, but the blood and desperation in his voice tells us he's begging someone not to do something violent. The way he's looking up makes it feel like someone has power over him. Player 218 might be trying to stop another contestant from making the same mistakes that got them all into this mess. The research notes mention he's pleading with someone who has the power to commit violence. In Squid Game, the most tragic moments come when good people are forced to do terrible things to survive. The fact that he's in a medical jumpsuit is really telling. It suggests the games now include medical experiments or that they're keeping people alive just to torture them more. His plea of "don't do it" could be him trying to save someone's soul rather than their life, like he's seen what violence does to people, and he's desperately trying to prevent someone else from crossing that line. A tearful woman in black formal wear is slumped against a tiled wall under some stairs, telling someone,
아저씨 그런 사람 아니잖아.
this is clearly an emotional breaking point. She's crying, but she's also trying to reach someone who's about to do something terrible. The formal clothes suggest this might be happening outside the main game area, maybe during some kind of ceremony or meeting. This scene might be showing us how the games corrupt even the most moral people. The line, "You're not that kind of person," is exactly what you'd say to someone who's about to betray their own values. Combined with her tears in the intimate setting, this feels like a friend trying to save another friend's humanity. This is the psychological horror that makes Squid Game so effective. It's not just about people dying, it's about good people being forced to become monsters. Her desperation suggests she's watching someone she cares about transform into something they never wanted to be. The fact that she's in formal wear while crying suggests this conversation is happening at a moment that should be dignified or celebratory, which makes it even more tragic. Guy Hoon, soaking wet in an off-white shirt, is walking across the red light green light field in heavy rain, with the giant tree and farmhouse visible in the foggy distance. This is like a nightmare version of the first game. The rain makes everything look haunted and abandoned. Gi-hun's walking alone, which suggests this might be a flashback or a dream sequence where he's confronting his trauma. This rain-soaked return to the first game location might represent Gi-hun's psychological state. He's drowning in guilt and memories. The research notes describe it as a flashback or a nightmare revisit, and mention that the place feels haunted. Rain in film often represents cleansing or overwhelming emotion. What's brilliant about this shot is how it transforms the location we know. In Season 1, the red light in our green light field was bright and deceptively cheerful. Now it looks like a graveyard. The rain washing over everything could symbolize how the trauma of what happened there has permanently stained the place. Gi-hun walking through it as alone shows he's still trapped by what happened, even if he physically escaped. The same guy, now with bright red hair and wearing a suit, is walking down an airport jet bridge while looking back over his shoulder. And this is clearly the same character, but at a different time, probably after the games. The red hair is a bold choice, and the fact that he's at an airport suggests he's either trying to escape or being forced to travel somewhere. The backward glance shows he's still worried about being followed. The red hair might be Gi-hun's attempt to disguise himself, but it could also symbolize how he's been permanently changed by violence. Red is obviously the color associated with the guards and violence in Squid Game. Having Gi-hun dye his hair red could represent how he's been infected by the brutality he witnessed. The airport setting is really significant because it represents escape and freedom, but his nervous backward glance suggests he knows he can never really get away. The games have a global reach, so even if he physically leaves Korea, he's still not safe. The red hair makes him stand out, which is the opposite of what you'd want if you're trying to hide, so it might represent how he can't hide from what he's become. Close-up of the same protagonist in a pink corridor of the Escher-style maze, looking absolutely stone-faced while green-clad contestants file past in the background. His expression has completely changed from earlier scenes. This isn't fear or desperation. This is cold calculation. The pink corridor puts him right back in the heart of the games, but now he looks like he has a plan. This transformation from victim to strategist shows how Gi-hun has evolved from someone who stumbled through the games to someone who understands them. The research notes describe this as him evolving from prey to strategist with cold focus and no sign of panic. This is character development in action. In Season 1, Gi-hun survived mostly through luck and the help of others. Now he looks like someone who's studied the system and knows how to work within it. The contrast between his terrified expressions in earlier scenes and this cold determination suggests he's learned to compartmentalize his emotions to survive. That's both inspiring and terrifying because it shows how the games change people at a fundamental level. The overhead shot of the dormitory where contestants are split in two groups by colored lighting, blue on one side, red on the other, while someone walks down the middle aisle shouting, "This is not just a game." This looks like a full-scale uprising, or at least a major confrontation. The colored lighting dividing people suggests they've been split into factions, and whoever's speaking is trying to unite them or at least make them understand something bigger is happening. The faction split might represent how the games have evolved to create the artificial divisions among the players. Red and blue lighting creating two distinct groups suggests the organizers are actively promoting conflict between contestants, possibly as part of a new type of game. This is really smart storytelling because it shows how the games have become more sophisticated. Instead of just individual survival, they're now manipulating group dynamics and tribal psychology. The person walking down the middle, trying to speak to everyone, represents someone trying to break through that manipulation. The line, "This is not just a game," suggests they're trying to make people realize they're being used for entertainment or some larger purpose. Close-up of the same speaker's face bathed in magenta and cyan light, his expression showing pure righteous fury as he continues saying, "This is not just a game." This guy has reached his breaking point, and he's not holding back anymore. The intense lighting makes his face look almost otherworldly, and his expression shows he's willing to risk everything to make his point. This moment of revelation might be when the contestants finally understand they're being used as entertainment for wealthy spectators. The line, "This is not just a game," combined with the theatrical lighting, suggests this is the moment when the true purpose of the games is revealed to the players. What makes this so powerful is the lighting. It's theatrical, almost like stage lighting, which could be highlighting the fact that they're all performers in a deadly show. His fury isn't just about survival anymore. It's about dignity and humanity. When someone realizes they're being treated as entertainment rather than people, that's when real rebellion starts. The magenta and cyan lighting makes him look like he's being transformed or enlightened, which fits with this being a moment of terrible understanding. A hand slams down hard on a glowing red palm scanner while a blue button sits unused next to it as the voice continues, "This is not just a game." Someone is making a decisive choice here, probably the same person who's been giving the speech. The force of the hand hitting the scanner shows determination, and the fact that they chose red over blue suggests they're choosing conflict over safety. This choice between red and blue buttons might be the moment that determines whether the games continue or stop. The red button being chosen while blue is ignored, combined with the ongoing speech about games, suggests this is a pivotal voting moment that could end everything. The palm scanner technology shows how sophisticated the voting system is. They want to make sure each choice is deliberate and traceable. The fact that someone is choosing the red option while declaring the games aren't just games suggests they're choosing to fight rather than accept the system. And this could be the moment that turns the individual games into open warfare between contestants and organizers. A male contestant in a green track top is absolutely screaming "You die" directly at someone off-screen with the sunny red light green light field and the doll's tree visible behind him. This is pure rage and terror combined. He's not just angry, he's in full survival mode, probably warning someone who's about to get them both killed. The sunny background makes his fury even more jarring. This moment shows how the games have turned people into animals, where rational thinking gets replaced by pure survival instinct. The research notes describe rage and terror intermingled, and mention he's either warning or threatening a nearby rival who jeopardized his survival. What's really disturbing about this scene is how it shows the complete breakdown of human cooperation. Instead of working together to survive, the games have trained people to see each other as threats. The irony of screaming "You die" during a game where death is determined by the organizers shows how the players have internalized the violence and started directing it at each other instead of their captors. The sunny, cheerful background makes his animalistic rage even more disturbing because it shows how the games corrupt everything, even innocent-looking spaces. Alright, we're halfway through this trailer and things are getting absolutely mental. The psychological warfare, the faction splitting, the moment of revelation. Season 3 is clearly going to be about more than just individual survival. We're seeing the evolution from games to full-scale psychological warfare. The massive animatronic doll from red light, green light fills the frame, her creepy plastic smile frozen in place, while someone says,
못된 놈들은 나쁜 짓을 해놓고도
This is that terrifying moment when the doll's head whips around to scan for movement. You can see the tiny red dots of her optical sensors, which means she's actively looking for targets. The contrast between her innocent appearance and the deadly function is still absolutely chilling. Using the doll as a backdrop for the line, "Some bad people do bad things," creates this twisted commentary on innocence and evil. The doll represents childhood games turned deadly, and having this moral statement delivered while looking at her frozen smile emphasizes how the games corrupt everything pure. What's really messed up is that the doll isn't evil. She's just a tool. The real evil comes from the people who programmed her to kill. By having this line delivered while showing her face, they're pointing out that bad people take innocent things and turn them into weapons. The doll's unchanging smile becomes this horrible symbol of how evil can hide behind familiar, comforting facades. Two contestants are desperately dragging an injured player, numbered 444, across the open field during the chaos of red light, green light, all while the voice continues. Bad people do bad things. This is humanity at its best in the worst possible situation. These people are risking their own lives to save someone who's wounded, even though helping him could get them all killed. You can see the strain and terror on their faces as they try to reach safety. This rescue attempt directly contradicts the bad people line, showing that good people still exist even in this hellish situation. The fact that they're risking exposure during the deadliest game to save someone shows that not everyone has been corrupted by the system. This is the kind of moment that makes Squid Game so emotionally brutal. Just when you think everyone has become selfish and cruel, you see people willing to die for strangers. The timing with the bad people voiceover creates this beautiful contradiction. Yes, bad people created this situation, but good people are still fighting against it. The woman's face shows pure determination, while the guy on the right is gritting his teeth with effort, and that injured player in the middle represents everyone who needs saving. 6 terrified women have their wrists tied together with pink ribbon, standing between 2 armed red guards, while the voice says,
남 탓하면서 난 편히 사는데.
This looks like some twisted version of a 3-legged race, where cooperation literally means life or death. The pink ribbon makes it look deceptively cute, but their faces show pure terror. They know that if one person stumbles, they could all die. The pink ribbon binding them together might represent how the games force people into situations where someone else's failure becomes your death sentence. Pink is consistently used in Squid Game to make deadly situations look innocent or playful. The ribbon looks like something from a children's game, but it's actually a death trap. The line about blaming others is perfect here because this setup guarantees that when things go wrong, the survivors will blame whoever caused them to fail. It's psychological manipulation at its finest. The organizers create situations where good people are forced to resent each other. These women probably don't even know each other, but now their lives are literally tied together. When someone inevitably trips or panics, the others won't blame the system that put them there. They'll blame the person who made the mistake. A mob of contestants are celebrating wildly, fists pumping in the air, with one guy dead center absolutely screaming in victory while the voiceover finishes, but they blame others and go on to live in peace. This celebration looks almost animalistic. The guy in the center has veins popping in his neck from screaming so hard. This isn't relief or happiness. This is bloodlust and tribal victory. They've clearly just beaten another group, and they're reveling in it. This celebration scene shows how quickly people can go from victims to perpetrators when they're given a taste of power. The research notes describe this as triumph edging into bloodlust, and mention that the euphoria will curdle into violence as rival groups retaliate. What's terrifying about this moment is how these people have become everything they probably hated about the system. They started as victims, but now they're celebrating someone else's suffering with the same enthusiasm that the VIPs show when watching people die. The line about living in peace while blaming others is perfectly timed because these people will probably convince themselves that whatever they did was justified, while the people they defeated deserved what happened to them. Overhead shot showing hundreds of green-clad players arranged in a perfect circle around a burnt orange arena floor, with blood splatters visible on the outer walls, while someone says, "Good people," on the other hand, beat themselves up. This setup looks like some kind of gladiator arena, or execution ground. The perfect spacing suggests they have been ordered to stand at exact positions, probably for a game that involves the floor dropping out or spinning. The blood on the walls tells us this has happened before. The circular formation might be designed to make players watch each other die, forcing good people to feel guilty about their survival. The positioning ensures everyone has a clear view of the center, and the blood evidence shows this arena has been used for executions before. This is psychological torture designed specifically for good people. Bad people might enjoy watching others suffer, but good people will be traumatized by being forced to witness death and being unable to help. The line about beating themselves up is perfect because this setup guarantees that survivors will blame themselves for not saving others, even though there was nothing they could do. It's the ultimate way to break someone's spirit, make them complicit in atrocities just by being present. A male contestant crouches in a violet-lit corridor outside what looks like Dorm 12, clearly eavesdropping on something happening inside while the voice continues about good people beating themselves up. This guy is facing a moral crisis. You can see the conflict in his face. He's hearing something bad happening inside that room, but he's paralyzed between helping and self-preservation. The violet lighting makes everything feel unreal and nightmarish. This moment of hesitation represents the exact kind of moral paralysis that destroys good people in these situations. The research notes mention he's weighing whether to step into a brewing fight inside and facing a moral crisis, help, and risk his life, or walk away and live with guilt. This is the cruelest choice the games can offer to a good person. Be a hero and probably die, or be a coward and live with the guilt forever. The violet lighting makes him look sick and stressed, which matches the nausea that comes with this kind of impossible decision. Whatever's happening in that room, he knows he should help, but he also knows that helping might be suicide. The fact that they're showing us this moment of hesitation suggests that his choice here will define who he becomes for the rest of the season. A contestant with glasses is hauling the frail, elderly woman numbered 149 through what looks like a neon pink riot scene, with other people running and fighting in the background. This is the dorm massacre in full swing. The guy with glasses has made his choice. He's protecting the most vulnerable person in the room, even though it puts him in serious danger. Pink lighting makes the violence look surreal and nightmarish. This rescue represents the cost of maintaining your humanity in an inhumane system. While everyone else is fighting for themselves, this man has chosen to protect someone who can't protect herself, which perfectly illustrates the good people beat themselves up theme. What's beautiful and tragic about this moment is that he's essentially sacrificing his own chances of survival to save someone else. Player 149 looks terrified but trusting, which makes it even more heartbreaking because she's depending on his goodness in a situation where goodness gets you killed. The chaos around them shows that most people have chosen self-preservation, but this guy has chosen to be a protector. The pink lighting that makes everything else look hellish somehow makes their connection look almost sacred. Gi-hun in a ripped tuxedo is running for his life across a sterile teal chamber, while red-suited guards carry black coffins behind him, and the voice says, about the smallest things. Something has gone seriously wrong at what looks like a formal event. Gi-hun's tux is torn, he's in full panic mode, and the guards with coffins suggest that a lot of people just died. The contrast between the formal wear and the desperate escape is jarring. The tuxedo suggests Gi-hun was brought to some kind of VIP event, which means he might have gotten close to the people in charge before everything went wrong. The formal wear combined with the sterile environment suggests this was a controlled meeting that turned into a bloodbath. This scene is huge because it suggests Gi-hun got close enough to the real power structure to be invited to a formal event, but something went wrong, and now he's running for his life. The guards carrying coffins while he escapes suggest that other people at this event weren't so lucky. The line about smallest things is perfect because it implies that some tiny detail or mistake turned a civilized meeting into a massacre. Maybe someone said the wrong thing, or maybe Gi-hun tried to make a move against the organizers, and it backfired spectacularly. Back view of Gi-hun, still in the tuxedo, entering a white-tiled hall decorated with minimalist stick-figure murals of playground games, while contestant 218 approaches from the left. This looks like the aftermath of whatever happened in the previous scene. The stick-figure murals make the space feel like a twisted museum of children's games, and there's clearly been violence here recently. The fact that 218 is approaching suggests this might be a confrontation or reunion between old allies. The meeting between Gi-hun and 218 might represent a confrontation between different philosophies of survival. The research notes mention this could be a confrontation between old friends that will lay bare their clashing philosophies. The stick figure murals are really significant because they represent the innocence that's been corrupted by the games. Having this potential confrontation happen surrounded by images of children playing makes it even more tragic. If these two were allies before, their meeting here suggests that the games have changed them in different ways. Maybe 218 has embraced the brutality while Gi-hun is still trying to maintain his humanity. Or maybe it's the other way around. Either way, the fact that they're meeting in this museum of corrupted innocence suggests their friendship is about to become another casualty. The frontman in his geometric mask strides confidently down a moody purple corridor with a square masked guard following behind, while lower-ranking guards line the walls. This is absolute authority on display. His measured walk and the way other guards snap to attention shows that he's coming to personally handle whatever situation has gotten out of control. The purple lighting makes everything feel ominous and royal. The The front man making a personal appearance suggests that the rebellion or uprising has gotten serious enough to require direct intervention. Throughout the series, the front man usually operates from the shadows. Him walking publicly through corridors with an escort means something major has happened. What's chilling about this scene is how calm and controlled he looks while everything else is falling apart. The geometric mask makes him look inhuman, but his body language shows complete confidence in his ability to restore order. The fact that he's bringing backup and walking past guards who are clearly nervous suggests that whatever's happening is bigger than the usual game violence. This feels like the moment when the careful control system breaks down and raw power has to step in to maintain order. We're seeing the breakdown of the system, people making impossible moral choices, and the front man himself stepping in to handle things. This trailer is showing us that Season 3 isn't just going to be about surviving games, it's going to be about surviving a full-scale war between the players and the people controlling them. A contestant with the number 45 patch is being brutally pinned to the floor by a red guard who's gripping his hair while the player screams in agony. This is straight up torture. The guard's black glove is yanked tight in the guy's hair, and you can see every muscle in the contestant's face straining as he screams. This isn't just discipline. This is punishment designed to break someone's spirit. This brutal treatment might be the guard's response to the earlier uprising we saw in the dormitory scenes. The level of violence here goes way beyond normal game enforcement. This feels personal and vindictive, like the guards are making an example of rebellion leaders. What's really disturbing is how methodical this looks. The guard isn't acting out of anger, he's calmly inflicting maximum pain and humiliation. This suggests the organization has protocols for dealing with troublemakers that go way beyond just elimination. They want to break people psychologically before they kill them, probably to discourage other potential rebels. The fact that we're seeing this level of brutality means Season 3 is going to show us what happens when the careful facade of games drops and reveals the pure sadism underneath. The elderly woman numbered 149 is speaking earnestly to a blood-streaked man whose face is blurred, saying, "I still believe that you came here." This feels like a pep talk or maybe a confession of faith. She's looking at him with such conviction despite all the violence around them. The blood on his face suggests he's been through hell, but she's still trying to reach the good person she believes is inside him. Player 149 might be trying to remind someone of their original motivation for entering the games before the violence corrupted them. The line, "I still believe that you came here," suggests she's talking to someone who's lost sight of why they entered the games in the first place. This is the kind of moment that makes Squid Game so emotionally devastating. Here's this elderly woman who's probably seen every possible horror, but she's still trying to save someone's soul. The fact that his face is blurred suggests we're not supposed to know who she's talking to yet, which means this conversation is going to be really important later. She's basically offering him a chance at redemption, reminding him that whatever he did to survive doesn't have to define who he becomes. The same conversation continues with her finishing the thought, "to save us all," while the bloodied man bows his head even lower. So she's telling someone that she believes they entered the games not just for personal reasons, but to save everyone else. His body language shows he's absorbing the weight of that responsibility. This isn't just about survival anymore, it's about being a savior. This could be the moment when someone decides to stop playing the games and start fighting the system itself. The phrase "save us all" goes way beyond individual survival. It's about dismantling the entire operation. What's powerful about this moment is how it reframes everything. Instead of seeing the games as something to survive, she's presenting them as something to end. The way his head drops suggests he's feeling the full weight of that responsibility. This could be the turning point where someone transitions from player to revolutionary. The fact that she has this much faith in him suggests he's probably someone with the skills or a position to actually make a difference. Maybe Gi-hun, maybe someone we haven't met yet. 4 pink-suited guards carry a black coffin tied with a giant pastel ribbon shot from directly above, with blood splatters marking the floor beneath them. This overhead shot makes the guards look like pallbearers in some twisted funeral procession. The ribbon makes the coffin look like a present, which is deeply disturbing given that there's clearly a body inside. The blood on the floor shows this isn't the first one. The ribbon-wrapped coffin represents how the games packages death as entertainment, or even as gifts for the spectators. Throughout Squid Game, the aesthetic design deliberately makes horrific things look cute or appealing. The ribbon turns a corpse into a present. This visual is so messed up because it shows how completely the organizers have divorced themselves from the humanity of what they're doing. To them, these aren't people dying, they're products being delivered. The overhead angle makes the guards look like they're part of some mechanical process, just moving inventory from one place to another. The pastel ribbon is the ultimate insult because it suggests someone's death is being treated as a gift for someone else's entertainment. Masked VIPs in elaborate gold and jeweled animal masks sit around an octagonal teal table, while black-clad servants lay out gourmet food. This is the ultimate display of decadent indifference. While people are dying brutally in the games, These VIPs are having a fancy dinner party. Their animal masks make them look inhuman, and their relaxed body language shows they are completely detached from the suffering they're funding. The animal masks might represent how these VIPs see themselves as predators and the contestants as prey. The elaborate nature of the masks and the formal dining setting suggests this is a celebration or ritual connected to the games. What makes this scene so disgusting is the contrast between the luxury and the violence. These people are literally feasting while others are dying for their entertainment. The animal masks are perfect because they strip away any pretense of humanity. These aren't people making difficult choices. They're predators who've embraced their nature. The octagonal table mirrors the shape of many game arenas, suggesting that even their dining is structured like the deadly games they're watching. Someone in black uniform is wrestling a rifle away from a pink guard inside what looks like a soundproofed hallway. This is either an infiltration in progress or a full-scale mutiny among the staff. The violence and urgency of the struggle suggests this isn't a planned handover. Someone is taking the weapons by force. This could be showing us that there are rebels working inside the organization, not just among the contestants. The person taking the rifle is wearing different clothing than the standard pink guards, suggesting they might be undercover or part of a resistance movement. This scene is huge because it suggests the rebellion isn't just coming from the players. There might be people inside the system who are fighting back. The soundproofed hallway suggests this is happening in a secure area where guards wouldn't expect trouble. If there are infiltrators or turncoat guards, that completely changes the power dynamic. The desperation of the struggle shows that whoever's taking the rifle knows they only get one chance at this. A medium-sized animatronic girl stands in a courtyard while contestants cautiously emerge from a doorway behind her, with guards posted at lampposts around the area. This looks like a new version of red light, the green light, but in a more confined space with different rules. The doll is smaller than the giant one from the field, and the courtyard setting makes everything feel more claustrophobic. The players look terrified to even step outside. Green light game indoors might be designed to increase psychological pressure and reduce escape options. The courtyard is clearly enclosed, and the lamppost guards suggest there's no way to run even if you survive the doll's detection. This evolution of the game makes a perfect sense for Season 3. Everyone knows how red light, green light works now, so they had to make it worse. By putting it in a confined space, they've eliminated the possibility of hiding behind other players or using the environment for cover. The smaller doll feels more personal and threatening somehow, like it's designed specifically to hunt rather than just monitor. Players with visible numbers like 353, 336, and 100 are peering through the oversized pink columns, which are actually the doll's legs, looking up into the courtyard. This perspective shot shows just how massive the doll is and how small and vulnerable the players feel beneath it. They're literally looking up at their potential executioner while trying to figure out how to survive. The perspective from beneath the doll emphasizes the power imbalance and makes the players look like insects about to be crushed. The way they're crammed together looking upward while the doll looms above them creates this sense of helplessness and impending doom. This camera angle is brilliant because it puts us in the same position as the players, looking up at something that could kill us at any moment. The pink columns disguised as legs show how the games use familiar, even pleasant colors to hide deadly mechanisms. These people know they're about to play a game where most of them will die, but they have to do it anyway. The cramped spacing suggests they'll be competing for limited save space, which will probably turn them against each other. Close-up of a narrow bridge made of alternating tiles with one contestant's white-soled foot landing carefully while another person blurs in mid-jump. This is clearly the glass bridge game or something similar, where each step could be your last. The precision required for that careful foot placement contrasts dramatically with the blurred figure, who's either jumping or falling. Scene 40. The stepping stone bridge represents the ultimate test of nerve, where hesitation and recklessness are equally deadly. The careful foot placement and rope rails suggest this is a game where technique and courage are both essential for survival. What's terrifying about this game is how it forces people to make life or death decisions based on incomplete information. Every step could be safe, or could send you plummeting to your death. The contrast between the careful stepper and the blurred jumper shows two different survival strategies: cautious calculation versus desperate momentum. The fact that we can see both approaches in one frame suggests that neither strategy guarantees survival, which makes the whole thing even more psychologically brutal. The violence is getting more personal, the games are getting more psychological, and it looks like the rebellion is spreading beyond just the contestants. The VIPs, treating death like dinner entertainment while people inside the system start fighting back. A contestant is caught midair being flung sideways, arms stretched out desperately while a digital clock on the wall reads 3:35. This is the bridge game going horribly wrong. Someone just stepped on the wrong tile and it's launched them into freefall. You can see the pure panic in his body language as he realizes he's about to die. The timer adds pressure. They're running out of time to cross. Elderly contestant 149 is sobbing into another player's shoulder, eyes squeezed shut, mouth open in grief. This woman has clearly just watched someone she cared about die, and she's completely broken by it. The way she's clinging to the other person shows she needs human contact to process this level of trauma. This breakdown might represent the moment when the psychological pressure finally overwhelms someone who's been trying to stay strong for others. Throughout the previous scenes, we've seen 149 as a source of wisdom and encouragement. Seeing her breakdown suggests something truly devastating has happened. What makes this so heartbreaking is that she's been the moral center for other players, trying to remind them of their humanity and purpose. But even the strongest people have breaking points, and watching someone you care about die in front of you would destroy anyone. The fact that she's allowing herself to be vulnerable shows that the games have finally cracked even the most resilient people. Her grief isn't just about one death, it's about the accumulated horror of everything she's witnessed. Two pink-hooded guards crouch in a fast inflatable boat, rifles aimed toward a fleeing vessel that's barely visible in thick fog. Someone is trying to escape the island by boat, and the guards are in hot pursuit. The fog makes everything feel like a thriller movie, but those rifles pointed forward show this chase is going to end badly for whoever's running. This maritime chase suggests that someone has gotten close enough to escaping that the organizers are willing to pursue them into open water. The fact that they're sending armed guards after someone in boats means this isn't just a contestant wandering off. Someone with real information is trying to reach the outside world. This scene is huge because it shows the games extending beyond the island itself. If someone's trying to escape by boat, they probably know something that could expose the entire operation. The guards' willingness to chase them into fog shows how desperate they are to stop this person from reaching safety. The fog creates a sense of uncertainty. We can't see who's being chased or whether they'll make it, but the rifles suggest the organizers aren't planning to take prisoners. A cabin cruiser emerges from dense fog with just its navigation light glowing, visibility basically zero. This is the boat from the previous scene, racing blindly through fog so thick they can barely see where they're going. The single light makes it look ghostly and desperate, like they're fleeing into the unknown rather than toward safety. The fog-blind escape represents how people fleeing the games are running toward an uncertain fate, possibly making things worse for themselves. The zero visibility and isolation suggests that escaping the island might not lead to safety, just different kinds of danger. What's brilliant about this visual is how it shows that escape isn't necessarily salvation. This person is fleeing one nightmare, but heading into complete uncertainty. The fog could be hiding rescue ships, or it could be hiding more enemies. The single navigation light trying to cut through the darkness represents hope, but it also makes them a target. It's the perfect metaphor for how the games corrupt everything. Even escape becomes another form of danger. Contestant 120 in a blue bib squares up in what looks like a walled alley decorated with stars, fist cocked and ready to strike an unseen opponent. This is clearly some kind of fighting game where different colored bibs represent opposing teams. The star decorations make it look like a children's play area, but his aggressive stance shows this is going to be brutal hand-to-hand combat. The colored bib system suggests the games have evolved to create artificial team conflicts where players have to fight the people they might otherwise ally with. Blue versus other colors creates arbitrary divisions among contestants, forcing them to see each other as enemies rather than fellow victims. This is really smart psychological manipulation, because it takes the natural human tendency to form groups and weaponizes it. Instead of contestants banding together against their captors, they're fighting each other based on random team assignments. The star decorations are particularly cruel because they reference children's games and rewards, making the violence feel even more perverse. This guy's fighting stance shows he's fully committed to winning, which means the games have successfully turned him into exactly what they want, a gladiator. The same alley, but now 120 is mid-swing, throwing a punch at an opponent in a red bib while everything blurs from the speed of the fight. The fight has started, and it's vicious. The motion blur shows just how fast and brutal this combat is. These aren't trained fighters. They're desperate people trying to survive by beating each other to death. What's disturbing about this scene is how it shows ordinary people transformed into animals. These contestants probably never imagined they'd be fighting strangers to the death, but the games have pushed them to this point. The blurred motion captures the chaos and desperation of people who know that losing means dying. There's no strategy here, just raw survival instinct taking over rational thought. A red bib fighter flips a green bib opponent over his hip in a brutal throw while a third player cowers in the corner. The momentum has shifted, and red team is dominating. This is a proper combat throw that could seriously injure or kill the green player. The person cowering in the corner shows that not everyone is willing or able to fight, but they're trapped in this arena anyway. The person cowering in the corner represents how the games force even non-violent people to become complicit in violence just by being present. While two people fight brutally, the third person is reduced to a terrified witness who can't escape, but also can't participate. This dynamic is really cruel because it shows how the games corrupt everyone, not just the people willing to fight. The cowering person is probably a good person who doesn't want to hurt anyone, but they're trapped in a situation where their survival depends on others being violent. They're forced to hope that someone else will do the killing for them, which makes them complicit even though they're not throwing punches. It's another way the system breaks down moral boundaries. A young woman stares straight ahead with tears streaming down her face and a small cut under her left eye, her expression showing complete heartbreak mixed with grim acceptance. This is someone who's just realized something devastating about their situation, or made an impossible choice. The cut suggests she's been in some kind of struggle, but her tears show that the emotional damage is worse than the physical. This moment of realization might be when someone understands they'll have to betray a friend or family member to survive. The combination of physical injury and emotional devastation suggests she's been forced into a situation where winning means losing everything that matters to her. The look on her face is the most tragic thing in this entire trailer. She's not crying from fear or pain. She's crying because she's lost something fundamental about herself. This is the moment when someone realizes that surviving the games might mean destroying their own soul. The cut under her eye might be from fighting, but the tears are from understanding what survival actually costs. Gi-hun stands alone facing a raised platform where 6 rifle-bearing guards wait under a glowing doorway, clearly being summoned for something important. This looks like a final confrontation, or a judgment scene. The formal setup with multiple armed guards suggests this isn't a regular game. This is about Gi-hun specifically. His isolation in the frame shows he's completely vulnerable. This formal summoning might be the moment when Gi-hun is offered a choice between joining the system or being eliminated. The elaborate setup with multiple guards and dramatic lighting suggests this is a pivotal moment in his character arc, not just another game. What's interesting about this scene is how it isolates Gi-hun completely. There are no other contestants, no chaos, just him facing the full authority of the system. The glowing doorway makes it look almost religious, like he's being called to judgment. This could be the moment when the organizers try to recruit him, or when they decide he's too dangerous to let live. Either way, the formal nature of the setup suggests this conversation will determine his fate, and possibly the fate of everyone else in the games. The contestant who screamed, "You die!" earlier is now swinging a seized rifle like a club at a pink guard's helmet, roaring with absolute fury. This guy has completely snapped and is attacking the guards with their own equipment. His expression shows pure rage and desperation. This weapon seizure represents the moment when the games transform from controlled entertainment into open warfare. Taking weapons from guards and attacking them directly crosses the line from playing games to fighting a war against the system itself. This is the moment we've been building toward throughout the entire trailer. The complete breakdown of the game structure. This guy isn't trying to win a game anymore. He's trying to destroy the people running it. The fact that he's using their own rifle against them is symbolic. He's turning their tools of oppression into weapons of rebellion. His rage-filled expression shows that this isn't strategic. It's emotional. He's reached the point where he'd rather die fighting than die playing their games. This single moment probably triggers everything that follows. If you enjoyed this video, watch my Season 1 and 2 recap before Season 3 comes out.